So TSM, once again, returning to that kind of place of comfort where they're saying we can win from bot, mid, or top. I feel like in the Turtle iteration, less confident winning from the bot lane and focusing more on BJERGSEN and HAUNTZER being their true carries. Yeah. Seems like, again, they're trying to reach for that strategic diversity here in the early weeks of the split.
I think that could be the case where they're not necessarily looking at this series as a must-win series, and you see them picking their completely like, all right, BJERGSEN's on Syndra or Talia or something, and we're going to try and smash this series. It did feel like they were more willing to have a game plan where they put him on Galio to see, like, let's try this out. They swapped out the Fiora for Rumble to get a little bit more team fighting potentially, but it still didn't look like TSM was 100% confident on the comp, but still, like we said, not playing bad.
Yeah, absolutely. But to that end, it's rare that I find myself saying, at least within the context of the North American LCS, that TSM is wildly out of position, or it looks like they're getting caught, and look how they're getting taken advantage of. But that's what happens in the final fight here, 31-30 into the game. Immortals finds a beautiful pick here in the top side of the map. I mean, that first tier turret is still alive, and they're going to end the game because of this.
Yeah, and you see TSM kind of overcommitting, trying to chase down onto the members of Immortals here, going really hard onto XMITHIE and Flame. It opens up the backline to find an opening here on DOUBLELIFT.
There comes POBELTER.
Yep, and there we say you have this protected DOUBLELIFT comp. Well, he's dead at the start of it, and that basically means you cannot win this team fight unless HAUNTZER has the most godlike ultimate you've ever seen. Not really the case here, and it was kind of the fact that Immortals kites out TSM, who want to be really grouped up. It opens up the backline, and then you see POBELTER get a great flank.
And that's the kind of playmaking that I think POBELTER now perhaps feels empowered to do, where he's saying, hey, while this fight is occurring up here near that first tier turret, I'm going to recognize the win condition of TSM being that Caitlyn in the late game. Well, great, I'm Syndra. I'm built to deal with that carry. Let me just swing around the back here and actually pull the fight, you know, out for the squad. Of course, he could have just grouped top and the game elongates another 10 minutes, and then maybe they don't even win the game entirely.
Right. I mean, if you slow down too much and TSM starts setting up control, they get a Baron with all these Kate traps, these kind of things can happen. But if you get them in the flank like that, making sure that they are spread out, the Galio is not instantly there to taunt or anything like that. That's really the case. And Immortals did have some things going for them. They had good dragon control as well, something XMITHIE's known for. I think he got a smite seal over this game, grabbing an Infernal away from TSM.
Yep.
And I think XMITHIE deserves a lot of credit just because when he was on CLG, he often had good early games, but a lot of people pinpointed that more to the coaching staff and the team always having good game plans,
right,
and not necessarily XMITHIE's role in those game plans, where he's always out there executing them. And this time around, again, a good early game.
Right, so whether or not the plan is coming from him or it's just in the moment kind of decision making, it's clearly working out. We mentioned POBELTER brings the damage. Player of the game going to Flame, though. I think a lot of it is just because we're seeing kind of the development of his ability to join the team and work with the team in a more cohesive manner right here off the bat.
I think that's the big thing, because when we saw that big bot lane dive in the early game that brought things kind of back in Immortals' favor, HAUNTZER did not have teleport. Flame matching up very well in the 1v1 versus what many would say is the best top laner in the league, and then able to outplay him in team play as well over the course of this game. So huge performance out of Flame.
All right, so as his big performance out of Flame, and he picks that up. We're going to toss it now over to Captain Flower, who's standing by with an interview with POBELTER.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am here with the mid lane star of Immortals, POBELTER himself. Now, to start things off, you have personally had a phenomenal couple of performances throughout the series this weekend. How have you made that happen? What are the personal goals and just habits that you're forming for yourself to allow you to be this big playmaker?
I started, well, throughout the offseason, I was just practicing really hard, and I was able to hit rank 1 in solo queue and just like trying really hard every game, even in solo queue. And so I think that's a pretty big part of it. And then actually another big part is I keep eating really like good foods right before I eat and go on stage. So I'll go out to like a restaurant right by our house and have a really good meal before we play. And I think it actually helps me focus a lot more.
That's an awesome habit. Keep that in mind, you guys. It's not just grinding on the Rift. You got to do the good stuff outside as well. And speaking of the things outside of Summoner's Rift itself, one of the big discussions going into Summer Split was the jungler trade between Immortals and CLG. Now that you guys have XMITHIE on the team, how has that changed the dynamic? How has that changed the team play? Just talk to me a little bit about the different feel of the team as a whole now.
XMITHIE is actually really good. I'm so happy to play with him. He's improved so much since I played with him on CLG, and he was already good before. So he's just really good at, you know, we kind of joke that we're like all mechanics, no brain, and then XMITHIE is the brain. So he just kind of leads us around, keeps us focused on whatever our plan is. If we want to go for something stupid, he says, no, don't do it, or like, okay, you can do it. But yeah, he just has a really good mind for the big picture, and so yeah. I think it's a really good fit for our team.
Sounds like he's doing a good job keeping everybody together, keeping everything in check. Now, to make sure that Immortals keeps this momentum going, keeps itself in check as a group, and extends this on to another smashing split similar to what we've seen in the past, what's ahead for you guys? What's the next step to make sure you keep this up?
I think right now we'll probably just stick to what we're doing because it worked really well for us this weekend. We had a pretty tough weekend coming into P1 and TSM, so we weren't sure how we were going to do, but I think we'll gain some confidence from this and then be able to kind of motivate us in our practice going forward. And actually right now our coach Song is in Korea right now finalizing his visa process. And so he stayed up, it's like 3 a.m. in Korea right now, probably closer to 5 a.m. right now, and he stayed up like the whole night preparing the band pick and making sure he was still up so that we could prepare. And he also has a really good mind for the game, so really happy to work with him too.
Now that's dedication right there, staying up all night to make sure the team is doing what they need to do. And when you take down 2 of the top 3 teams from last split, you guys have got to be feeling good. Again, big congratulations to you. Looking forward to seeing more plays out of you and the rest of the Immortals boys as the split goes on. One more time for POBELTER. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise. We are going to be back momentarily now with more LCS action. Coming up next, it's FlyQuest versus Dignitas. Don't you go anywhere. We are going to be right back.